Oh my gosh, we're recording. We're here. Hi, George.
We're live.
We're
Hi,
live.
Erica. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Really excited.
Really excited too.
Very
And
excited
hello.
to be here with you.
I'm so excited to be here with you. And to our listeners, hello, friends. Welcome to Macabre and Company.
Episode 1.
Episode one. This is it, the first one. I've
Li-
tested three different
It's
headphones
okay.
in like five different locations, and this one better be the best sound.
Perfect. I hope this one does. I actually have an podcast microphone that I bought ages ago for this project, right? When I was like in my head thinking about, doing a podcast, right? Before I even spoke to you. But apparently AirPods are like the best for like recording. So you said the sound sounded really good, so I'm just gonna stick with these.
Yeah, slay. I love it. Fantastic. So I guess we should
Yeah.
lay out like our plans a little bit so our new friends know
Yeah.
what we're up to. So we're going to tell you a different story every week. We'll both do some research. We'll both bring our spin to it. And we're going to start off each episode with a tarot card reading from George. So this week, George is going to read my cards. But if you want your cards read for the next podcast, either find us on Instagram at Macabre and Company, TikTok at Macabre and Company, or email us at macabreandcompany@gmail.com and you could have your cards read next.
I love that. Yeah. So I actually a little bit of a background to this. Like I only picked up on tarot reading maybe just under a year ago. A friend had actually read my cards and I was like so intrigued um by the accuracy of it and the guidance and the thoughtfulness of the reading. And I'd like to tell people that it's really not about like predicting the future, or being a psychic or a medium in any way. It's really about reading the energies and kind of projecting into the cards what you want to hear back from the universe and asking those questions. On a daily, like I usually keep a deck in my bag, right? So I have a couple of decks. My favorite deck that I have, I'm going to do a little shout out to. It's a queer tarot deck,
Oh my gosh, I love a
which is
queer
actually
tarot
made.
deck.
Yeah, it's made in a town called Kingston, New York, by a couple called Ash and Chess. And these are all screen printed cards. They're all so beautiful. And then they really base the book that goes along with these cards based on queer people and queer energies, and all different areas of the queer spectrum, right? But they're also great for people that maybe aren't on that spectrum, right? For allies and stuff as well. It really takes energy from everywhere. So I did a one card drawing like every morning. I do them, right, just to kind of read out my day and how I'm feeling. And I did a one card drawing for us and for you and for this actual episode, right? And it's so funny. The first card, I shuffle the cards, I did my thing, I said my little prayer to the cards, and then I shuffled them up, split them up, put them on top, and I picked the first card on top, which is the Fool, which sounds a little bit like, oh,
No, it's
what are you calling me a fool for?
perfect.
So the Fool card right here. Okay, first off, why I love this card is it looks kind of like Cher
It does.
on
For
the
those of
front,
you
and
just
then there's
listening and not looking, we have a gorgeous, stunning Cher lookalike in a floral,
yeah,
like very 70s dress. Is that a cat?
and then it's a little white dog, which is so funny because Parker is like sat right next to me. He's asleep. I don't want to wake him up, but a little white dog too. So
So
let me
cute.
tell you what the Fool card represents in kind of our umbrella for this episode, for our relationship as well, which I think is great. It represents new beginnings, adventure, and maybe making a decision or a leap, right? So the Fool can often be taken as like, oh, am I going to make a foolish mistake? But a lot of times it's a daring card and it kind of urges you to do something daring or symbolizes that you're stepping into something daring and something that you haven't done, which I think is perfect for us and representative of what we're doing because of this new project that we've embarked on.
I love it.
So it's when it comes with this card, it tells you to indulge in your desires, right? Which can be anything from your personal life, but also like your professional life too. And I think we're both very creative people, right? And we are always striving to do something fun and creative, as well as our regular careers that are also creative and fun. But I think this card was the perfect drawing for us, and I think it was a really good luck start for us to start on. So yeah,
Oh my
the
gosh, that's
Fool, she's there and
spectacular.
she's fabulous.
She
Yeah.
is so fabulous, and she's us. We are the Fool. I'm so into that. I love that
Yeah,
story.
and then we'll do an episode when we have a little bit of a longer time where I'll do like a full reading for you, which I think will be really, really fun.
Ooh, yes.
And maybe invite guests in and do one as well. Like it's just a really, I know it's not really macabre or anything gruesome about it, but I think the energies that surround it and the history that goes into the energies of the card and the universe telling us what to do and giving us feedback, I think is really parallel to what we're going to be talking about in our podcast.
Yes, absolutely. And macabre is a vibe. Not doesn't have to be horror and spooky. It can be like motivational, and you can take whatever you want to out of it. And that's the beauty, I think.
Yeah. Should
So
we tell
shall it?
everyone a little bit about why we're doing this?
Oh,
Like our
yeah,
thought process
absolutely.
behind it? And of course, I know you're going to be editing and stuff, so if I talk too much, feel free to just cut me off.
I would never. I'm going to keep it all in.
So for those of you that don't necessarily know me and Erica as a collective, but just know us individually, which I think is going to be a lot of people because you are currently in Australia. I am currently in
Canadian,
California.
Canadian in Australia.
Yeah, and I'm an Englishman in California. So we actually worked together on cruise ships many moons ago. It's been a long time actually now since we worked together. And me and Erica hosted a television morning show together as part of our duties on the ship. And it was probably one of my favorite hours on my schedule of every day that we did them basically every day apart from maybe 2 or 3 days a week. So it was like 4 or 5 days a week we were doing these shows, and I always look back on those memories fondly. We always share videos back and forth with each other of those times where we just ended up in fits and giggles. But I think a part of our relationship and how we got to know each other was our love for the gruesome and stuff that people didn't always want to talk about, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I remember like writing horror movie trivias with you on the ship, and that was like one of the so many
Yeah,
great memories, so many great memories. But we have no. It's not that we haven't seen each other since. We've obviously stayed in touch, not being on ships, and I've
yeah,
come to see you in California. My partner and I come to visit you and your
yeah,
partner all the time. So it's a long enduring friendship built on horror
yeah.
and morning show.
For sure. And so we wanted to share our passion for entertaining, but also for the darker side of the universe with you
Yes,
guys,
yes, and I just
with
want an
our
excuse to
listeners, our
talk to
new
you
listeners.
every week.
I know, just to hang out for an hour or so.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. Shall I introduce this week's topic?
Yes, tell us about what we're going to be talking about this week, Erica.
Okay. Okay. So I am taking you all. We are taking you on a journey. We are going to a place where a lot of my growing up was done in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. It's on Vancouver Island, just off of Vancouver or Seattle, like far west coast. Go to the west coast, get on a boat, go further west, and you've got Vancouver Island. And Victoria is the capital of British Columbia, and it's a really, really beautiful place. And that is where our subject for today resides. Would you like to tell us about your research on Doris Gravin?
Yeah, I mean, first off, when I think of Canada, I never think of spooky stories, right? I just think of really, polite, happy people going about their day, living their best Canadian lives. So actually doing research and finding out there's actually quite a lot of macabre kind of stories in Canada. I think Canada does a really good job of kind of keeping those stories within their own borders, though, so that the rest of the world doesn't realize that they too have a dark side.
We're just like, oh, we're a little
Um,
spooky, eh? Don't worry about it.
So Doris Gravin, I mean, when Erica pitched this for a story to me, I delved into research and found a little bit, and then I was like, oh, there doesn't seem to be that much there. But the further I got into it, and I am a bit of a Reddit person, like I don't really post on Reddit, but I get deep in a Reddit, girl. Like I will get in there and I listen to all those people on Reddit, and I'm like, what they're saying is true. And I have a lot here, but I want you to give us the story, tell us your story, and let's go from there.
Okay. So um it's really important to know something about the Victoria Golf Club. So Victoria Golf Club is where our setting is, and Oak Bay is the kind of little town. I don't even know if it's a town, but little suburb that it's in. And Oak Bay has a lot of older residents. Everybody's pretty wealthy. Generally, it's really It actually has like a very English vibe to it. It's got really cute old pubs. It's right down by the water. There's a yacht club and the golf club. But this golf course, so it's the second oldest golf course in North America that's still in its original site. So there's other golf courses that are older, but they've picked them up and moved them places. This one has stayed in the same place, established in 1893. And you can drive through Oak Bay, and what makes this golf course really unique is that you actually drive through it. So the first few holes are on,
Ooh.
yeah, it's really cool. The first few holes are on the regular land part, and then you have to cross a little road and you golf back up the peninsula, and then you have to cross the road back again at the top. So you are, if as just a regular citizen, you could just be driving through the golf course suddenly, and there are people golfing on either sides of you. Now, out when you cross the road, there's one hole that goes like way up a hill, and at the top of that hill, it's so steep that at the top of the hill, you can't see where people are putting and finishing. So there's a bell at the top of it. So once you finish your golf round, you have to ring the bell so the people behind you know they can tee off, because otherwise they might hit you in the head with a golf ball. Yeah.
I
So
Side story, a few weeks ago, no word of a lie, I was walking through Palm Springs downtown and a golf ball, I mean, there's golf courses everywhere here. A golf ball went past my head, hit the floor, missed me like this. I felt my hair like move. Like it
no.
landed and bounced in front of me. Yeah,
Oh my
can you
God.
imagine?
Oh, I can imagine. I
Mm,
can imagine, because that's what
I
happens
know.
sometimes in Victoria, the Victoria Golf Club.
Yeah.
So the when you're golfing up the sixth green and into the seventh. So once you're headed to the seventh, you ring the bell to signal that you're moving on. There's another hole that's on this like jutting out rock that's in like pretty much in the water, and you're like teeing off away from facing, obviously not facing into the ocean, facing away from the ocean, but so windy, it's so challenging, such a like complicated hole to golf in. So it's a very, very challenging course in some places.
Has
And
anyone ever fallen off that cliff?
oh, probably. It's not that
Yeah.
far. It's not
No,
that far.
but
It wouldn't be
and
fun.
how far away your parents or where you grew up from the golf course?
Like 20 minutes.
It's close.
Yeah, very close. Very close. Do you want, shall I tell the basics of Doris's story? Or do you want
So
to do
I
it?
actually did some research into her earlier life. Should we talk about
Oh,
her when she was younger?
yes, because she came from around about your way.
Yeah, so she was actually born Doris Estabrooks in 1903. I don't have anything about where she was born specifically, but I knew she grew up in Victoria, British Columbia, right?
Lancashire. She Lancashire, how do you say it?
Lancashire.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah, and she
Ooh,
immigrated to Canada with her parents.
when she was a kid.
Yeah.
Do you know how old?
I couldn't find that.
She was Doris Estabrooks, 1903. So that's a long time ago. So I'm presuming she moved there when she was pretty young, though, right? She moved to
Yeah.
British Columbia because this says she grew up there. So,
Yeah.
and she was known to be a bright and sociable individual, apparently. Out there, everyone knew who she was. She was really sociable. And then, because of this, and she was such a lovely person, she actually pursued a career in nursing and became a nurse because she enjoyed helping people.
Yeah, and her mother worked in a private hospital as well. So I think she was probably inspired a little bit by her mom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny that my grandmother was a nurse. It never really inspired me to do it. She kind of told me all the gruesome stuff. Maybe that's where I get it from. She
Maybe.
told me all the gruesome stuff, or like put me off anything kind of medical career because I was like, absolutely not. I don't mind talking about it, but I don't want to see it.
Fair.
Um, so she pursued a career in nursing. She was a professional, did very well. Her family background and personal details from her younger years are sparse, apparently. Um, Most of what I could find is focused on her later life, particularly her marriage to Victor, which I will let you talk a little bit more about her and Victor and their
Yeah, so
relationship.
she married Victor in 1930, and Victor Gravin was his name. He was actually a sports reporter for the Colonist newspaper. So he loved to golf. He spent a lot of time golfing with his brother, who was the head pro at the Uplands Golf Course, which is another really bougie one just down the way from the Victoria Golf Course. To give you an idea, like Victoria Golf Club has loads of celebrities. Like everybody who's everybody comes and golfs. You can't. It's a private golf course. You can't just pay to golf from the outside. You can't just
Oh,
go for a day unless you're somebody really fancy. So
it's a
Uplands
fancy
is
one.
it's very fancy. So this Victor was an avid golfer, spent a lot of time with his brother, and I imagine because his brother was the head pro at Uplands, they've also got to spend some time golfing around at the bougie golf courses. Um, Unfortunately, Victor also liked to drink. I think that was probably his next favorite hobby other than golfing, because he took up drinking very heavily. At which point Doris left him. Actually, which is I think a really bold move in the 30s, and she
For
found work as a
sure.
yeah, right. Like you don't just leave. Especially Victoria's a small place now. It would have been a very small place then.
Mm.
Um, so that she was almost 30, living in with her parents still, and well, she spent a lot of time with her parents, but she did find work as a private live-in nurse, so she would live part-time with this family that she was caring for. In mid-September 1936 is when Doris received a letter from Victor. Now the contents of that letter aren't like widely known, but it does, everyone kind of supposes that it was a request for her to meet him to discuss getting back together.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she was
Um,
33 at that point then. She was
yeah.
33 when she was asked for this. So that's
Yeah.
like younger than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I don't know. I can only imagine what she was thinking, but at 7:45 p.m. on September 22nd in 1936, she stepped out for a walk, and Victor reportedly left his parents' house around the same time. And there was a witness that saw them together on Runnymede Avenue, but other than that, no one else ever saw them alive again.
Which avenue was it?
Runnymede.
Runnymede Avenue. Do you know that avenue?
Yeah, I do.
You've Oh my gosh, you've been
I've
there, huh? You hang
I've
out
been to the
there?
avenue. I've been to the avenue. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I know exactly where it is. So they both reported missing by their respective families, and a search ensued. And days later, they sadly found Doris. They discovered her amidst the driftwood on a beach just by the seventh green. So we talked about going up that hill from the sixth to the seventh, and it's right by
Hmm.
the beach there. She was in amongst the driftwood, badly beaten and visibly strangled, and she was missing her shoes, her belt, and her hat.
Oh my gosh, I have
Yeah,
pictures of like that beach as well. I'm just gonna pull them up for like my personal like imagery in my head
yeah, yeah. Pull them up.
because yeah, that's real creepy. So the seventh hole, the beach by the seventh hole,
Yeah,
no shoes,
no shoes, no hat, no belt,
strangled, no hat,
strangled.
no belt, but wow.
And that poor kid, it was just a young caddy that found her. Like I would, by young, I think, or in those days, he was probably like 8 or 9, because I remember that he gave an interview not that long ago when he was in his 90s. So like he
Oh
was still
wow.
around until recently, and that was like something that really scarred him for life.
Do you know his name?
I don't recall. I could find it. Clearly, my research
I
didn't go
mean,
that
I would
far.
just be interested to watch that interview or read it, whether it was, I mean, can you imagine being like
Yeah,
the last person to know that story too? How cool is that?
yeah, that wild, absolutely
That's really
wild. That
cool.
poor guy. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so everyone thought Victor obviously had killed her and made a run for it. However, just a month later, his body was found amongst the kelp beds just past the ninth fairway. So just even further. He hadn't gone far. He must have gotten tangled in the kelp. Um, in his pockets were all of Doris's missing items. And the official police conclusion was that he strangled Doris and then walked into the water and drowned himself.
Can you just do that? Walk into the water and drown yourself?
I mean, they do it in movies all
Wait,
the time.
okay. Yeah. Do you believe as a local Victorian that that he did it? Or do you think there's a little something else sinister to it?
No, I think he did it. I think he killed her. I think absolutely. I think it was pretty straightforward. He was devastated that she left him. He was probably drunk and in the throes of his addiction, and killed her in a fit of
Oh,
rage, and then realized what he'd
crime
done.
of
And
passion.
yeah, crime of passion and dramatically. And I think also in those days, the clothes, and what time of year? It was September. It would have been, that water would have been cold. So they would have had layers on. It's
Oh
always
yeah.
cold at the golf course. So he would have had lots of layers. He had all of her stuff weighing him down. I reckon once he got into the water, he wouldn't have been able to get out.
like hypothermia, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
I reckon.
I was reading there was like an old newspaper article that was like, police have said that he did it, right, after they found him.
Mhm.
But then on Reddit, there's a lady in Victoria. I'll have to get her name up again and see if I mean, I'm sure you don't know her, but maybe you do.
Maybe.
And she wanted to go, and she was telling the story to someone, and she said that there was stories that there was another suspect. However, there was not enough evidence. Like someone had witnessed something, but they couldn't
Mm,
prove it. And back then, it was one of those things, right? There's no way to prove stuff like that. There was no DNA finding or all that in the
yeah.
30s, right? So I'm sure they just wanted to close the case and
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
needed it.
I feel like people always
Especially if
want
he
to
was,
like suppose,
yeah,
but I mean,
Victor.
the husband always did it, the husband always did it. Learn nothing.
It's always the husband. It's always the drunk husband.
Right. Like what is more likely that another random guy followed him to the golf course, killed them both, dragged one, put all of her belongings in
That's
his
true.
pockets, or that he just got mad and killed her?
It was the 8-year-old caddy.
Right? Like it sounds I if you hear hoofbeats, you think horses, not zebras, right? So I'm
It's true.
thinking
Yeah.
it was Victor Gravin with her scarf at the seventh tee. That's what I'm thinking.
So people are probably thinking, okay, well, that's the end of the story. But that's not actually the story that drew us to this conversation. Because
No, you
Doris
can't keep
Gravin's story is like Victoria's most enduring and eerie ghost story, apparently.
you cannot
Like they
keep a good girl
love it
down.
there.
Doris is back. Doris has never left.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing, right? So there's obviously ghost stories about it. But I was doing some reading upon this, and lots of people have said that they've seen her. Lots of people go ghost hunting up there as well and say that they hear her. And there's the bell. I was reading about the bell, and I actually have a photograph of the bell. And
Yeah.
then when you look past the bell, you can see a face. Have you seen
Yes.
that photograph?
I have it
Now
back here in case you hadn't seen it.
I don't, when I was like looking at it and I was like zoomed in and I made myself jump. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
because it's pretty funny. People are like, trying to debunk the photograph, but there's lots and lots of stories of
Yeah.
people seeing things out there.
I think
Um,
I saw that photo on the Reddit post as well, and I love the comments. One was like, "This is the best spectral photo I've ever seen," and the next one's like, "Hoax," and then the next one's like, "Real." People were divided in the comments for sure.
Yeah, but I'm all about believing it. There's been like numerous sightings of spectral figures. People say that they
Mhm.
see her bigger. People say that they hear her wailing. And then I also read like a little side quest that they said that her mom was so heartbroken that her mom has been. I just got chills. Look at the chills on my arm.
Oh my gosh, goosebumps.
That her mom actually has been seen to be at the golf course trying to find the person that did it. Oh, was it her mom? Hold on.
I wouldn't be
I even
surprised.
know it in here.
Have you come across all the car accidents she's caused?
No. Okay, sorry. This was his sister because his sister believed in his innocence. So it said that his sister has been seen or is told to be walking the grounds of the golf course to try and find the person that actually did it to clear his name.
That sounds like a nice story.
There you go.
I don't know if I believe that one, and I'll tell you why. Because how do you tell one ghost apart? How do you tell one ghost from another? And Doris is
Well, I
like
know.
it's quite distinctive, I think. So because of the unusual nature of that golf course and that road going through, so where Doris was killed, she comes up from the water and crosses the road, and she's caused car accidents. Like people, she passes through cars. People stop because they see her and think she's real, and people are like get quite afraid coming down that road in between the two sides of the golf course because she comes across to where the clubhouse is and she has to cross that street.
Wow. What is she like wearing? Is she wearing like a gown? Like, do we know?
She usually appears as like a white figure. I have never like it's she just kind of is all white from all of the
Yeah.
reports. Yeah. Um
And then
definitely
the bell ringing too, right?
yes.
So the people hear the bell ringing, and then another like Reddit group, they were like, the bell ringing is just the wind. It's windy, it's an island or peninsula, whatever it is, right? They're like, it's windy over there. However, and this is where I will go back to our ship days. We worked on a cruise ship, and every single one of those ships had a bell at the front. And when it was, you never heard that bell ringing.
I've
Even on
never
windy
heard that bell ring.
days, you had to go up there because they're so heavy, and with the rope, you have to ring it. Like the wind doesn't blow it to do that. Like they're
I
too
never
heavy.
thought
These are
about that.
big. I never
Yeah,
heard that bell ringing
never.
unless we were drunk and we were ringing it and getting in trouble for ringing
Get
it.
in much
But
trouble for that.
yeah,
Um,
but that's
yeah,
the
and
truth. So I don't think it was the wind.
no, I don't think it was wind either. And that's as growing up in Victoria, it is a very common thing that teenagers, you'll like go to Oak Bay, you'll go to Oak Bay and go onto the golf course late at night, and the myth is that you ring it 3 times and Doris will appear. Um, I have seen Doris, but I've never seen her when I've been looking. Like in my personal experience, she doesn't come when you're looking for her. So like if you go and ring the bell, I've never had her come up when you go and ring the bell. But it's definitely a hobby of teens in the area to.
You've seen Doris.
Well, George, I've been keeping a secret from you.
Oh my God, you are Doris.
I I am Doris. No, but I worked at the Victoria Golf Club for many years. Yes,
Oh my God.
yes. So that is why this story is so near and dear to my heart, because Doris is my girl. Can't keep a good bitch down. She is like my ride or die. Um, so some stories that I've heard from other people working in the golf course is there's the clubhouse. I was bartended there, and then sometimes did caddy work on the course. Not like drink cart caddy. So you get on a golf cart and you take people wine
Right.
and beer and stuff. Um,
Love that.
so it's so fun. It was such a blast. I loved it there. One bartender I used to work with said that because the bartender was always the last person to leave, we locked up the building, we closed all the windows, alarmed everything. Kitchen would be gone. We'd be the last person out. A friend that I worked with had was like locking up and getting ready to leave, and the all of a sudden like turned back around because a light came on, and all of the lights went back on in the whole building, and windows were open that he had just closed. So he had to go around and like close the whole building again.
Wow. No
Yeah.
way.
Something that we was like, I don't know, I didn't hear this one firsthand, but a secondhand story was there's a mantle place clock, and as people were leaving at night, the mantle place clock started chiming, but that clock had never chimed before, and it was not even at like an hour, and when they brought in a clockmaker to check it, he said the mechanism was frozen and
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to make noise, and nobody else
She's
had ever
there,
heard
huh?
that. Oh, she's so there. She's so there. She's so there. You people would see her on the security tapes on if you're like looking through footage to see things. She would kind of appear. I one of the like she used to mess with me because I spent a lot of time there late at night. If the golfers wanted to stay and play poker sometimes down like the golfers lounge area called the 19th hole,
Mhm.
they would kind of give me tips and I would stay and bartend for them as late as they wanted because I needed to lock up. So there were times that I was there till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was the only staff person there. I was the only person at the bar. And I would go and like take them drinks and come back and things would have moved. There'd be like glasses where I hadn't left them, or like salt and pepper shakers on the bar instead of on the tables. Like
Wow.
when I was the only person there. But the Um, so one of the weirdest things that I ever saw, or most Dorsey things, I don't know, but I was sitting, there was kind of, I would sit like on the bar and watch the TV in front of me, and the golf course was to my back because then I could hear if the guys called from downstairs. And there were mirrors behind the TV. So I was sitting and watching the TV, and I saw her behind me. It's like white ghostly presence walking. I could see her in the mirror walk past me. I turned around and I didn't see her. And on the side of the bar was a stack, the billfolds that you get with your receipts in any kind of restaurant. They kind of fold them up in those big black billfolds. There was like a stack of them,
Mhm.
maybe 15 of them on the edge of the bar. And so I was like looking for Doris, and the stack of billfolds flew across to the other side of the restaurant, like 20 meters, not just off the bar. We didn't just stack them improperly, flew hit the wall on the other side. Nobody, there was nobody else. It was just me sitting there watching these things fly across the room after seeing Doris walk behind me. And I think because I didn't say hi to her that time, and she was like, nah. So if I was like, hey Doris, what's up? And just kind of had a little chat, she would not really do too many things.
You know, that's what they say. You're supposed to say hi to the spirits, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She didn't like
Yeah.
it if I ignored
One
her.
of one of our restaurants, I mean, this will be for another episode, but one of the restaurants for the company I work for is said to be very, I mean, it is very haunted. Like we've all experienced stuff there. And our director of catering, Abby, she hasn't experienced anything crazy. And she said that's because as soon as she started working there and someone had said, careful, it's haunted, she, as soon as she, whenever she walks in, she says hi. And when she's leaving, she says goodbye. And
Yeah.
so nothing weird's happened, right? To her,
Mm.
nothing like paranormal. Whereas to the rest of us that don't really follow that rule, things happen. And that's it, right? She
Yeah.
was so used to it. You were her friend, and then you ignored
Yeah.
her one day, and she was
I
like,
ignored her
listen,
and she was
bitch.
having none of it. None of it. The other weird thing closing up, so I had like a path that I would follow every night, and I'd like turn off all the bar lights, and then I'd go down and turn off all the lights in the men's change room, and then turn off all the lights in the women's change room, and then that would lead me to the entry, and I'd alarm the building. And um I there was just one little like cloakroom in the women's locker room that I tried to turn that light off one night, and I just got icy cold and like almost took my breath away. I got so icy cold and I like started to almost feel like I was having a panic attack. And I turned the light on and immediately it went away. And I was like, oh, this is like, Doris, do you need that one on? I'm not going to turn it off. Cool. And I just left that little one light on, and I never tried it again, and I never had any issues. And I'm I'm comfortable in the dark. I turned off all the other lights, no problems. It was just that one.
Do you know what's
And
funny? What how I think maybe she was fucking with you a little bit was because you're with the bartender. Her husband was an alcoholic. She was probably like also like
oh,
frustrated with people drinking there because that's
maybe.
ultimately what led to her demise, right?
Oh my gosh, I didn't
It's
even
where it all
think about that.
started from.
We've just cracked
And so
it.
you being there on your own, like we cracked it, we
Yeah.
solved it.
Oh my
She
gosh.
was probably like frustrated because she obviously wasn't a fan of people drinking and, you
Yeah.
know, especially men drinking, being served
Mm.
by women. I'm sure there's something there, you know,
Oh
that
yeah,
she didn't like
absolutely.
it,
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think
you
about that.
know.
That is so true. And the other
That'd
thing
be a
that's oh,
I think that'd be a reason for things happening in the bar area. I mean, that makes sense
yeah.
because they say that spirits move things and things happen when with frustrations and like
Mm.
unfinished business and like unfinished emotion, right?
Yeah, 100%. The moving things around, people would report moving to things would move around other places, but I definitely think some of the team sometimes would mess with people and move things around and blame it on
Oh
Doris
yeah.
because it's fun. But when I'm the only bartender and I need everything to be in its place. So I would
Mhm.
know when I closed, I know exactly where everything was. And to come back and like the Tabasco is just like right in front of where I sit. I'm like, Doris, you know I didn't leave that there. Like,
But she
no,
knows you
Doris.
love Tabasco.
Yes. she must know I love Tabasco.
Do you know what's so funny that I actually almost put the password today as Tabasco for this meeting on Zoom?
Oh my gosh, you should have. I'm pretty sure sriracha is my password for like everything. It's not.
Yeah.
Everybody don't go trying. The other
Right.
one that I had heard about that I never saw personally, but heard the so in the upstairs offices at the golf course, there was like the accounting team and everything was there, and every so often they'd come back in, and the whole rolls of the like little till tape would be completely used up, but not just
Oh
like,
wow.
but not like, and not just like, I guess it could be an equipment error and have them like all spit out, but it just had a bunch of zeros on it, like zero
Mm-mm.
zero 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 zero. Um, yeah, creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. So does the golf course, do they acknowledge this? Do they like, do they have anything there? Do they have like a Doris Gravin wall or like
No, not when I
pictures
was
or
there
anything?
last.
Do they
Um,
try and keep it very hush hush to the guests or?
no, everybody knows,
Yeah.
and everyone kind of like it'll be like, oh, Doris, like, oh, there's Doris. Like the team, definitely, the people working there and people that work there a long time, just be like, yeah, that's Doris. The golfers, I think, have varying degrees of belief, and um, some of them are absolutely like, yes, she's here. Some of them are like, I don't care, and some of them are not believers. But I've seen her. I've been in the golf course and have seen her walking across. It's yeah, Doris. She's my girl.
Yeah, you've felt it. You've seen it.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be going back to Victoria soon, right, to visit?
I am. As hopefully right as this releases, we can release a ghost hunting vlog as well.
Oh my gosh, you have to go. You have to. I want you to be there at night. Do you still know anyone that works there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I still know people that work there, but also you can just sneak onto the course at night.
Yeah, you have to do like a tour, like a walking video, so that we can like all look for Doris with you.
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely will. And I will put the notes of wherever that will be in the show notes for here, as well as all of our sources. I will cite those in our show notes. So at the time of recording, we don't know what that's going to look like, but we will by the time we release it.
And to all of our listeners, let us know, comment on our Instagram, send us an email, like let us know what you've heard about Doris Gravin too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's
yeah.
Clearly this like legend of Victoria, which I didn't know about, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to this that would love to give their stories and tell us more about Doris.
Yes, tell us about Doris and Victor. Oh my gosh, if anyone knows Victor, like hit us up. Also, let us know if there's a local legend that you want us to cover in your area. Tell us, give us any feedback, but give us nice feedback, please. We're sensitive.
We're sensitive.
Don't be mean.
We actually, so for episode 2, we're going to be jumping over to the UK. Now, I'm a little undecided as to where we're going to go. I am going to think about it, and I'm going to have a decision to you. I think we're going to have to keep our listeners guessing, and then we will let them know on all of our platforms as to where they can find out about the second episode.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Do we need a goodbye? We need a goodbye tagline. I don't know what it could be. We'll have to start thinking of one. And if you listeners think of any taglines for us, I can't. That's one thing I didn't think of in advance.
Yeah. That's us closing the file on Doris Gravin.
Yes, closing the file on Doris. All right. Bye, Doris. Thank you. Bye, listeners. Bye, Doris.
Oh my gosh. Maybe she'll come to us tonight.
I think it's a little far for her to come to me. I'm in Australia.
That's true. Alrighty, Erica, you want to just remind everyone where they can find us?
Oh yeah, I do want to remind everyone. After I said goodbye, I've said goodbye, and now instead,
oh, you said goodbye.
I said goodbye, but I didn't stop recording. So
Edit.
Yeah, find us on the cutting room floor. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, and at Gmail, all at Macabre&Co, spelt like it sounds. And we were lucky, but clearly we're in a niche because nobody else had any of those names for any of our platforms. Yeah, so we're very lucky.
You go first.
All right, I've been Erica.
I've been George, and thank you for joining us for Macabre&Co episode 1. Oh my
gosh, yay! Whoa, bye, friends.
We'll see you all next time.